Keanu Reeves sees a pregnant woman working hard at a gas station, and her actions are very shocking. It was late at night when Keanu Reeves pulled into a quiet gas station on the outskirts of the city. He had been driving alone, enjoying the silence, when his car's fuel gauge warned him it was time for a stop. The station was nearly empty, save for a few parked trucks and a dimly lit convenience store. As he stepped out of his car and walked toward the entrance, he noticed a woman behind the counter. She was pregnant, very pregnant, and yet she moved with an energy that didn't seem natural for someone in her condition. She restocked shelves, wiped down counters, and even carried heavy boxes from the storage room without hesitation. Keanu frowned. He had seen hard-working people before, but something about this scene didn't sit right with him. As he approached the counter, she was already ringing up another customer's items with speed and precision. Her uniform was slightly wrinkled, her hair tied back in a messy bun, and dark circles lined her eyes. When it was his turn, he placed a bottle of water on the counter. "Rough shift?" he asked casually. She barely looked up as she scanned the bottle. "Same as always," she replied. "It's just me working the night shift. Gotta keep moving." Keanu hesitated before asking, "Should you really be doing all this alone? Well, you know." He gestured toward her belly. The woman let out a tired chuckle. "Oh, I'm fine. Gotta stay strong for the baby." Then, without warning, she bent down, grabbed a full crate of drinks and lifted it onto a nearby shelf with ease. Keanu's eyebrows shot up. "Whoa! Are you supposed to be lifting that?" She shrugged. "Not supposed to, but no one else is gonna do it." Before he could respond, the gas station doors swung open. Nick and a man stormed in. His face was partially covered by a hoodie, his hands stuffed into his pockets. He moved straight toward the counter. "Give me everything in the register," the man muttered. Keanu tensed. He had been in plenty of action films, but this was real. The woman, however, remained calm. Too calm. She sighed, popped her knuckles, and looked the man dead in the eyes. "You sure you want to do this?" The man stiffened. "Just open the register." In one swift motion, she grabbed a can of energy drink from the shelf and hurled it at the man's face with pinpoint accuracy. The can smacked into his forehead, making him stumble backward. Before he could react, she stepped out from behind the counter, twisted his arm, and forced him to the ground with an expert move. Keanu stood there, stunned. "What?" The woman tightened her grip on the struggling man's wrist. "You picked the wrong gas station, buddy." The would-be robber groaned in pain. "What the hell? Who even are you?" She smirked. "Before this job, military training, and before that, raised with 5 brothers." Keanu let out an impressed whistle. Moments later, a police car pulled up. Apparently, the store's silent alarm had already been triggered. Officers entered, took one look at the scene, and handcuffed the dazed suspect. As they led him away, Keanu turned to the woman. "That was shocking." She laughed. "Just another night shift." Shaking his head in admiration, Keanu pulled out his wallet and handed her a few bills. "Get yourself something nice, and maybe take a break from lifting crates." She grinned, tucking the money into her pocket. "Thanks, Keanu." As he walked out and drove away, he couldn't help but smile. He had come in expecting a simple gas stop. He left with a story he'd never forget. As Keanu Reeves drove away from the gas station, he couldn't stop thinking about what he had just witnessed. A pregnant woman, working alone at night, not only handling the job's demands, but also taking down a would-be robber like it was just another part of her shift. It was unbelievable. The next morning, still amazed by the encounter, he made a few calls. Within days, news of the incident began circulating. The gas station security footage went viral. A Hollywood superstar witnessing an ordinary woman demonstrating extraordinary courage. Offers of help poured in from strangers, businesses, and even veteran support organizations that recognized her military background. One evening, as the woman prepared for her shift, her manager called her into the office. "You've got a visitor," he said with a grin. She stepped outside, and there was Keanu Reeves, leaning casually against his motorcycle. "I figured you could use a break," he said, handing her an envelope. Inside was enough money to support her through the rest of her pregnancy, along with an offer. Connections to a new job, one that wouldn't require night shifts and heavy lifting. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I don't know what to say." Keanu smiled. "You don't have to say anything. Just promise me one thing." She nodded. What? When life gets better, if you ever see someone struggling, pass it on. She clutched the envelope to her chest and let out a deep breath. I will. As Keanu started his motorcycle and rode off into the night, she knew that her life had just changed forever. The woman stood outside the gas station, watching Keanu Reeves disappear down the road, the hum of his motorcycle fading into the quiet night. She wiped a tear from her cheek, still unable to process what had just happened. A week ago she had been exhausted, struggling to get by, unsure of how she would support her baby. Now, thanks to an unexpected encounter, everything was different. The next morning, she turned in her notice at the gas station. Her manager, though sad to see her go, understood. You deserve better, he told her with a smile. And after what you did the other night, you should be out there doing bigger things. With the money Keanu had given her, she was able to take some time off, focus on her pregnancy, and accept a new job that allowed her to work from home. The stress that had once weighed her down began to fade, replaced by hope. Months passed, and soon she found herself in a hospital room, cradling her newborn daughter in her arms. As she looked into the baby's bright eyes, she thought about everything that had led to this moment. The long nights, the exhaustion, the fear, and finally the kindness of a stranger who had changed her path. One day, years later, she found herself at a cafe, watching as a young woman struggled to count out change for a cup of coffee. The girl's hands shook, her clothes were worn, and there was a familiar look of exhaustion in her eyes. Without hesitation, she stepped forward, placed a bill on the counter, and smiled. It's on me. The young woman looked up, surprised. I can't let you do that. She shook her head. You can, and you will. The girl hesitated before taking the coffee, her voice barely above a whisper. Why? She smiled, remembering Keanu's words all those years ago. Because someone once did the same for me. As she walked away, she knew that kindness, no matter how small, had a way of rippling through the world, just like it had for her.